Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. Really excited about this show. If you have been keeping an eye on our socials, you've seen that we are in a partnership somewhat with the Appleton Beer Factory. And we've got this cool thing going on, ABF Monthly on Fox Cities Core, where we're going to be joined by Mark Motter once a month, the third Tuesday of every month. And we're going to be able to find out what's coming up at the Appleton Beer Factory and just what's going on there in general. Hopefully it's going to increase the awareness of what's going on at the Appleton Beer Factory and just overall just an awareness of the music scene here in the Fox Cities. My co-host, Mark Motter. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. How you doing, Andy?
Good. So we have known each other now for a while. The first time you were on Fox Cities Core was probably 2.5 years ago already?
Wow,
is it that long ago?
Probably right around there. It was right before, it was probably around 2 years ago because it was right before our last holiday show, I think, with Iftikhar. And then we came out and talked about that together.
Yeah, time sure does fly when you're having fun, doesn't it?
It's crazy. I said December is going to be 5 years already at the brewery, and it does not seem like it's been that long.
So this is a good chance to get to know you a little bit more. How did you get involved in Appleton Beer Factory?
Honestly, that's a pretty crazy story. It was just, so I had met Ben. I used to be at a place called Kelmus Pub, which is Pub 55 now. And I was working on because we did a lot of cover music there. And I started working, that was the first time I started bringing original music through to a venue. And so I started this series that was called the Wisconsin City Showcase, that I would match up a craft brewery with an original music band from the same city all over Wisconsin, and we'd feature different cities every week. And so I met Ben when we had More Than Mary, and Ben was the Appleton brewery with them, and I was always great friends with the guys from More Than Mary. And I had an opportunity to meet Ben, and then after COVID started, I left Kelmus Pub probably like 3-4 months into the pandemic, and started doing an odds and ends like general contracting job for a while because I really didn't know where I was going to go, and had started to do music at Kelmus and really loved it. We actually were able to get it to the point that our original music was actually more profitable than our cover music, so it was great to see that happen. And had a lot of great ideas in my head and really nothing to do, and then I had the winter off and walked in and talked to Ben, and we started talking. I started helping him with outside sales, and like 2 weeks later, they asked me to come on as partner. So that's kind of how that happened. It was very lucky that everything happened. It just kind of all worked out.
And how quickly did you incorporate the music side into the Appleton Beer Factory?
So when I became partners, part of the condition of me doing so was that we needed to put some effort into music. And they had already done some updates to the room right before COVID. So they were like on board with that. And, we talked a little bit and went over the business. And, I said, we got 15,000 square feet on one of the biggest or probably the most busy road in Appleton. We just need to figure out how to fill it up all the time. Music was going to be a way that we did that. And our first show, which I did actually before I took over as director of sales and entertainment, I was just a partner helping out for a bit. And our first show was July 31st of 21 with Brother Oh Brother. So that was pretty awesome. That was always one of my bands I enjoyed from Mild. So to get that, to bring them through for the first show was pretty awesome.
It's a great first show, and I imagine that got things kicked off pretty good there at the Appleton Beer Factory.
Yeah, it was, we fought really hard those first couple of years trying to get people willing to pay to see music. And, music, we get Mild does such a good job of bringing such great music through, and people, get this in his head that it's free, but to keep these artists coming through and to bring a good quality artist on a continual basis, you just can't do it without tickets, unfortunately. And we've really come into our own this last couple of years, and we've been able to do some pretty cool things. But as far as the music goes, it's just been it was something that was always in my head to do, and then I got the opportunity to do it at a beautiful place like Appleton Beer Factory with that back beer hall, which is just a really special place right now.
And you're continually making changes to upgrade that room. What are some of the changes that you've made since you started having live music?
So we've done a couple things. We actually just, and we won't use it for all shows because it's a little bit bigger than what we want. We extended our stage to 24 by 14, which is a pretty big one. We did that for the Stew show just recently because they had a big lighting show. So we worked on that. We've actually got one we're going to be putting. We've got right by our big A, if you're familiar in the room. We've got we're going to be putting sponsorship partners around that. Code Zero Radio will be one of those, and those are going to be just another little thing. Like we'll be insulating the back of those so that it helps with sound quality. We've put some drapes over the top that kind of help with the reverberation. So. A lot of people don't realize, too, that ceiling on that place, they always had that ready for music. That has thousands and thousands of air holes all the way in the ridges up there. So it's actually a really good ceiling for sound to begin with. So,
what was that building before?
It was an auto parts store. I forget what the name. It began with an S, but it was an auto parts store, and they spent about 3 years before we opened rebuilding that place. A lot of people don't realize, one of my favorite things when I bring people through there is just, like that's one of the most craft breweries you'll ever be in the country. Like that place is built from the ground up, not built from the ground up, but at least remodeled from the ground up. Everything in that place except for our fermenters was built by that team, so it's pretty crazy, and it's a great place to be, and we've just got a lot of fun stuff going on. So it's always fun to bring people through the business.
When you mentioned the stage was expanded, did that allow you to get not only bigger bands, but what's the reasoning for expanding the stage?
Well, there are some bands sometimes that does come down to it. We've only had one or two that's been an issue with the size of the band. But the bigger thing is, it does give a little bit more space. It increases the stage by about 25%. So it's a good amount of surface area. And it worked out really nice for the Stew show. And we've got it. We won't use it for every show. We just have it all ready to go if we need it. So.
How has Mile of Music affected live music at the Appleton Beer Factory?
I mean, Mile of Music has done a lot for music in the area. So, I mean, we definitely get a lot of Mile bands coming through, but we also work really hard to make sure that we're bringing through high quality artists that haven't been to the area, that may not have been to Mile. A lot of them might not have been to Mile, but end up getting an opportunity to play for Mile after they come through. So we love the opportunity to not only work with those bands that we get to work with every year for Mile, but also create longer lasting relationships with them. It was great. We just had Bombard go through last week. If you were at the show, it was fantastic. And just seeing how some of those bands build. I mean, that first show was 25, and then we had almost, I think it was over 300 people for the last show. So it's been great to kind of see how that goes. But some of those bands use that bigger stage. Some of them don't. It really kind of depends on who we're working with. But I'll tell you, Miles has been awesome for this area. I used to go to Cranky Pats or Automatic Slims back in the day. Those were pretty much the only places you could go for original music, maybe Cold Shot, There weren't a lot of places, but there's been a lot more places popping up, and it's great to see. And, the hardest part is making sure you're able to be a sustainable venue, and it's definitely a challenge. We've had our ups and downs with ticket sales and stuff like that, but it's an ever-changing environment. You just have to be all over it to make sure you're able to continue paying the bills and keeping good bands coming through.
Did you notice a change after COVID as far as people coming out?
Oh, there's been so many changes. So I never had really done a ticketed. Well, actually, that's not true. I did a ticketed show, 2 ticketed shows at Kalamazoo Pub before this, but didn't have a lot of experience doing ticketed shows. Kind of taught myself what to do and reached out to people I knew and asked some questions. And the biggest thing is that we've seen since COVID, I think, is people are more reluctant to purchase those tickets right off the bat, to commit to something. And I get it, and it makes sense. It does make it harder for the bands. when the bands and the venues can't see the interest in a show, that's when you start seeing cancellations and stuff, unfortunately. And, we've never canceled a show on our end. So we tried to never make that happen. We'll take shows. When Bombargo came through the first time, they were supposed to open for Joe Hertler, and Joe canceled, and that we would have lost money. We did lose money on that show. We knew we were going to lose money, but it was all about continuing to keep that expectation for what we're going to be doing at the brewery, what it is. So
we've got a couple comments here from two guys that go to the ABF quite often. Crazy Todd, Appleton Beer Factory, and his, here we go. Love Appleton Beer Factory, Mark, and his passion to bring through simply fantastic acts. And then Midwest music enthusiast. Love the music you bring into Appleton Beer Factory, Mark. Can't wait to see what this partnership with Code Zero brings.
Yeah, and we're really excited about this. I know Andy and I have been talking for a bit about doing this, and it was great to put something on the books and finally get it started. But we're actually working on a couple of other sponsorships or partnerships as well. One's with 91.1. We also have worked with 105.7 for a show. They brought through an artist. It was, I think, in spring, if I'm not mistaken. And now we have our first show coming up with the Razor, which is going to be a really fantastic show. It's our first time we're doing a show on a Monday. So we had the opportunity to get it through, and anyone who knows me knows that if I can make it work, I'm going to bring music through. And it was a great opportunity because we're working with a promotion company that helps cut down the cost, and we're able to get these really good artists through. And that one, the headliner is The Haunt, and then they're with Velvet Chains and Dead Sugar. And you should check the bands out. Really good stuff coming through on that Monday. It's, what is it, Monday? I think it's November 13th. That's right. So, or not 13th. I'm sorry, November 10th. So that's going to be a really great show. First one with Razor. And we're excited because we're expecting more shows from that relationship.
Well, that Razor show, I think a couple of those bands are duos, aren't they?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure all of them are duos, if I'm not mistaken.
And if you like hard rock,
yeah.
I mean, it's hard rock. I would classify it.
Yeah, but it's not like super. It's not very heavy. But I would definitely check them out. I always challenge. One of the biggest things, we do bring a lot of new artists through, and a lot of them you might not know, but we just ask you to do a little bit of homework. Check them out for 30 seconds. Check out a couple songs on Bandcamp or Spotify or whatever you use. We have ones that we prefer versus others for different reasons, but yeah, definitely check them out because we do a lot, or I spend a lot of time personally to make sure that these bands are quality. I look into them a lot. There aren't, if you've ever talked to me about the bands, there aren't many bands that I can't give you a backstory on. So, but we do put a lot of time into them. And but like I said, these relationships are just, we're hoping that this is going to help take it to the next level. We've put a lot of work in this last 4 years to the music, and we want to keep it rocking. But the only way we keep doing that is by continuing to grow. And we also work on really getting our name out there. So we don't do a lot with distribution by us, because distribution, if anyone is familiar with the beer industry, is like your worst profitability that you can do. It's great to get your name out there, but that's it. So we've taken a different approach to it. So what we've done is, rather than spending a bunch of time on sales, outside sales for our beer, what we use festivals that we work with to get the word out there about who we are. So we're supporting 8 different festivals now. Most of them are music festivals, all over the state. Some of them are here, most of them are here in Appleton. We got some up north by Gleason, White Lake. And every one of these opportunities we take is an opportunity for us to kind of create and make something different. And in a lot of cases, the only way we're successful is if the festival's successful. So we've worked with different festivals that haven't been, always super successful, but putting in the legwork and working with those individuals has either helped that festival get to the point that it's sustainable, or we've at least made other connections on different opportunities for growing the brand.
And I want to remind everybody this show is live and it's interactive, right? So if anybody's got a question or anything, call
Absolutely.
in. We want this to be a network where if you've got a question for Mark about the beer factory or anything, I mean, give us a call and we'll talk about it. When you were starting to book acts at the Appleton Beer Factory, obviously you've done it. You did it before, but you're doing it in a new capacity. Was it harder getting started? Or was it harder now that you're putting more irons in the fire?
That's a loaded question. So, I mean, getting started was definitely a challenge. And I always tell one of my favorite stories is when I first met Ian Thompson for more than just a handshake. We had our first original music artist at Calmus was Adrian and Meredith, and we had them come in, and Ian's good friends with them, and he came up, and we had just announced like that day or the day before that we had Mike and the Moon Pies, who's now Silverado, coming, which was going to be the only time they've come to the area outside of Mile of Music. So we were really stoked, and he asked me, he's like, how'd you get Mike and the Moon Pies to come here? I'm like, I just found him online and found their contact and called the guy. And Josh Green is the guy from Red 11 who I work with. I still work with him. He's at WME now, but he had every opportunity just to charge me whatever he wanted because I had no idea, and he was really cool to work with, and it's the reason those relationships. There's always agents and people that are not great to work with, but there's some that are awesome to work with. You just gotta have a good line of communication with them and tell them what you're trying to do. Their job is to get more money for the band. Your job is to make sure you're controlling costs. So you can normally find some place in the middle, and that was a great example of that.
So easier.
So the getting going was definitely tougher. I think I always feel like it's harder to maintain and move forward than it is to get it there to begin with. And that's just, built off of my experience and my work history with different types of businesses. I have a really mixed bag of experience, but, everything got me to this point, and it's. I definitely think it's a little bit harder to maintain now and to keep impressing people, right? Because that's honestly, I mean, if you've ever that's what drives me is to see the looks on the fans' faces, to hear how much people love the shows and stuff like that. That's what drives me. So to continuing to do that with the same size venue and everything can get a little crazy. And so there's actually some acts that we've worked with recently that sell out on the regular that, I've already worked with a couple or talked to a couple different venues out there about having access to bigger spaces for different shows. So I'm definitely probably going to be looking at spreading my wings a little bit outside of the brewery as well. So, that's been one of the cool things since I became partners at the brewery, that Ben and I have always had the understanding that at some point I was going to pull back a little bit on my role at ABF and do something outside of the brewery. And we didn't know exactly what that was, but we were both kind of set up for it, and it's just been kind of happening gradually now. So it'll be interesting over the next 2 years, I think, to see what arises out of this. But the one thing I won't stop doing is at least the music part at ABF. I'm working on getting with we have some really good employees, so I'm working to get some people to peel off some of the other parts of what I do, and then the music's going to be the main thing that I continue at some point, or when we make the switch, that and probably the sales side of the events, unless I can get someone in there that I'm very protective when we went back and rebuilt some of this stuff with ABF, because we had the opportunity coming out of COVID when we had 6 employees, so we got to rebuild the whole place from scratch and put the right processes in place, and it's been great. But it is time consuming, all of it. It's a lot. There's a lot of things on my plate right now.
So are you typically pairing food and beer with specific shows, since there's the cross, that cross option there?
That's a good idea. And I haven't ever really thought about that yet. I don't think, there was so many areas that we could improve in really quickly in the brewery that we focused on those, and we're just starting to tighten the screws on things now. So, but yeah, that would be, Yeah, I don't have a good answer for that.
I mean, right now, if people haven't seen a show at Appleton Beer Factory, it's unique to where you can go there, you can order supper before the show. You did also experiment with some earlier shows. Did the earlier shows tend to do good?
As far as, oh, you mean like offering like pizzas with tickets or stuff?
Well, I mean, like as far as you did some earlier shows, I think they're on Sundays. They were like acoustic.
Oh yeah, we did the sips and drums. Okay, I get what you're saying.
People are always complaining about. I wish the shows were earlier. I wish they were earlier. But did that get people out or?
Yeah, we definitely saw some pretty solid results from that. It's something that at first when we started that, Timmy Mack from Feed the Dog helped with all the scheduling. So it was just something I basically had to help market, and Timmy took care of that piece, and I just had to make sure we had the sound people there. And then we kind of, with Timmy taking on Ice Dance and working at Bolt now, like his time is limited too. So I kind of took that back, and we've had really good success with it. It is a lot of extra stuff. It's an extra.
Another iron in the fire.
If we do spring and fall, it's an extra 24 shows on top of the 85 shows that we're doing this year. So it's just a matter of what I want to go after and what I don't. And I would not be opposed to that. So one of the great things and one of the reasons we started that was because a lot of people did ask for that, and a lot of people saw that at the Source, right? And the Source did a great job with it. So we did it. We saw some good value with it. That was the first time I got to work with one of our sponsors, Executive Mortgage. And they helped support that for the first 2 seasons that we did it. And I work with them for a lot of different events as well. But we kind of put our focus in, or they kind of put their focus in another place, which is still connected to what we do. And so at this point, it was, especially going into Packer season, I pulled back on it for this next season. But I mean, that by no means is that series done and over with. It this year was just was a pretty packed year, and so it's really been just trying to make sure that everything's working out the way it needs to. So,
got a question here.
Yeah, awesome.
It's from Fred, who I know is the front person for a great band out of Green Bay called the Independent.
Independent. Oh, sorry.
Independent Variable.
Sorry.
Current wish list of bands you want to book. Would love to see a venue get Local H back in the area.
Local H. So I've actually reached out to Local H multiple times, and if anyone has a good contact with them, please get me in contact. I'm definitely interested in that. I have definitely reached out to them. I've never seen them live, but I had a lot of people ask me about them. And, one of the cool things is, unlike a lot of venues, if you're sending me info on who you want to bring through and who you want to hear, I, on a regular basis, am bringing bands through that I get suggestions from fans about. So never, ever think that your opinion doesn't count, because it doesn't always count, but sometimes it does.
So let's say you get Local H.
Yeah.
How do you pick the opener?
Oh, so that's, a lot of the bands that we've got coming through right now are carrying support, right? So that's been a big challenge, and we've got something cool that we're looking at in spring. I'm not going to let the rabbit out of the hat yet, but hopefully next month I'll be able to talk about that a little bit more. But we are looking at ways to get local bands more involved, because one of the things we've lost is the ability to always add bands to a show, which we had when we were first doing things, because we were bringing through smaller bands. Now that we're bringing through some of these bigger bands, they're just carrying support. And so we do have something in the works. We're hopefully it's gonna be a series type thing that we run in spring if all goes well. So, but as far as picking the band, it's a lot of I do it off of my ear versus what I feel the band sounds like. If something doesn't pop to my head, I reach out to a bunch of people. One of the people was the person who asked the first question, Todd and Eric Herm. If you know Eric Herm, those guys have a great. I reach out to Ian. Sometimes I reach out to Taylor Greenwood. It really depends on the band and whatnot. But I am smart enough to know that I don't know everything, so I definitely like to get feedback from our customers and keep that kind of ebb and flow coming back and forth with information. So.
I think Fred also, he wanted to know your current wish list. I don't know if you mentioned your wish list.
So, again, I'm not working on something just crept into my peripheral as a possibility. I'm not going to have a lot of say in it if it happens, but this will be really big if it does happen. But that is one thing I can't talk about. So, but I'm gonna tease you. If you haven't noticed, I like to tease a lot, especially on the Music Factory page with stuff coming up. Excuse me. I would say, I want to get Jeremy Albino back. That was fantastic having him for Milo Music a few years ago, and I've been working on that, and just nothing's quite figured out or worked itself out. And that's one of the big ones I'd like to bring through. There's Cole Chaney is another guy that's out there now that's starting in that kind of red dirt country style that's starting to get real good. If you got a chance, get over to Wisconsin Dells and check them out at Showboat Saloon here coming up. But that would be one I'd like to see. It's just hard. There's literally there was a time where I had to reach out to get the bands that I wanted to get. And the cool part about what's going on now is we don't have to reach out, right? We don't have to. The bands are coming to us, and it's great. The challenge is I probably don't hear quite as many new bands as I used to. So, like when I was first booking most of it, or reaching out for stuff. But another one that I'd like to do that I know recently or I think it was recently or just coming up, had a show at Gibson, but the Vagabonds, I'd love to get those guys through. I love working with the guys from Atlas Touring. They are fantastic. A lot of the bands we bring through are from Atlas Touring out of Charleston, South Carolina. Those guys are very involved in Mile, but they have such great, anytime they bring me an artist, there's very few times they miss on artists. So there's a bunch of bands with them that I'm looking at bringing through for this year. But, for me, like the wish list is always getting opportunities we've done a lot of those throwback shows with like the Verve Pipe and Elaine Johannes. And, we're working on potentially something out of Minneapolis, which you threw my way with I won't even say it because we haven't even talked really. But I look for those kind of unique shows. And amazingly, they're some of our best shows that we have. And most of the time, they're some of our most lightly ticketed shows because a lot of time people don't realize who they are. But again, if we're bringing someone through, we're bringing them through for a reason. There's a good reason. A really great example of that was XTC, which we had a few weeks back, October 3rd. We had them, and back from the late mid 80s, they were on tour with Police in '84. We're all over MTV, and got an opportunity to bring them through, and we had 44 tickets sold, and it was crazy. I always tell those fans at that show, because you can tell most of our fans at those shows, over half of them are normally from out of the area. So that normally means that we've pulled in a pretty good show if we get people traveling that far. And it's definitely been something that I always say, that's one of the reasons I always say, check out, do a little looking in. Otherwise, always talk to me at the brewery. Like if you ever come through, seriously, I'm always willing to and interested in talking about the music. But we've had some artists, some really crazy artists that we've had through that. The 50 is about where we've gotten out a lot of those shows. And it's one of those things that, on those shows, we're not worried about if we're losing money. It's about bringing through and really stabilizing our name and our reputation.
A few more comments to get here. Bob Minter said you look good in black and gold plaid. Have we told you that? That's nice. Midwest Music Enthusiast said, bring Magoo, please.
Magoo. Oh, well, it's interesting that you say that. I'm actually working on some potential potential dates for Magoo coming up in spring. So
ooh, that's exciting.
The door's open on that one. A lot, sometimes we can't always work the dates out, and that doesn't mean we won't get them. It just might not be this time around. But we are definitely working with them on a potential show here. And once we get it, as soon as we get it, I mean, it's spring, so we probably won't start announcing those till closer to the end of the year. But we do have a bunch of shows already set up for spring, and it's going to be a really good spring, kind of like the fall. This fall, we're just in the middle of it, and we've got some great shows coming yet in November and December. But
we'll run down the list in a little bit.
Yeah, no, not a problem.
Levi Besaw said, remember when you asked if I could run one show for you?
Yeah. So Levi is awesome. That story is a great, without getting too much into it, one of the big things that we're really trying to do at the brewery is we really try and separate ourselves from our competition. We're not afraid of competition. We enjoy a good competitive advantage makes everyone better. But we do try and separate ourselves. And one of the cool things that's come out of that is different people that we've worked with have had the opportunity in their own business to take different jumps and different steps. And Levi was a great one. When that first show was, I remember I reached out to, I think it was Ian Thompson, and I was like, man, I need someone to run a show. At that point, I had two other individuals that were doing most of my shows, and they're great. Gary Bomber, Brandon Johnson, both great guys, but they had a lot of other stuff on their plate. Brandon was working a lot with the Spirit Walker thing at that point, so it was really hard to get him for all the shows. So I needed someone that was consistent, and I said, I'm looking for someone that's good, but we're also starting out, so I don't want to pay too much. And so Levi, the first show was awesome. It was he did a great job, and then that relationship just kind of grew naturally and organically. And now they do. I mean, there are very few shows that we do at the brewery that they don't do. I mean, you can count them on one hand probably all year. So
that one show ended up being many is what Levi was getting.
Yes, it did. And it's turned into a really fun relationship. I mean, Levi, I think, has 4 different texts now, but he's had multiple that have gone through. He's doing music at multiple venues, and there's a lot of great sound people in the area. I have a lot of great things to say about Levi and the train station. And I know the musicians that come through really enjoy working with his team. We hear it almost every show when the artists come through on how great that sound team is. So,
one thing you said, Mark, that I really liked is you said you appreciate competition, but it's not a battle. It's just it kind of like motivates you to keep expanding and getting better. Yeah,
I had early on in my much different career, I had a great leader that I worked with that always told me that. And at that time, I was working for a big Fortune 500 company in retail, and we had another company the same style that was we were battling all across the country basically in different markets, and he was the one that taught me that. He's like, we don't want them to go out of business, we want them to, but that competition just breeds better opportunities, I guess is what I would say. And yeah, so we don't there's been different breweries that have come in since I've been there. We've had Hop Yard opened up. We've had the Vault open up. We've got Ope coming. I just met, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I apologize, but I just met one of the guys from Ope at Lagerfest. And we've got some really good competition. But I think, especially like I said, if we want the area to continue to grow from a music standpoint, you have to have more venues. You have to have more venues doing it. And you have to have continued support from the fans. And you guys are all the ones that make this work. Like, we just have this opportunity to put stuff in front of you, but without the fans, it just doesn't work.
And you guys, let's talk about some of the stuff that you've got coming up in the next month.
So November is jam-packed. We've got a lot coming up. So first I'm going to jump into this Saturday is probably one of my favorite shows. And this is the only October show that I'm going to talk about because this is the only one we got left. But we have the Minx and DOG and Scorched Waves on that Saturday. That is going to be just fantastic. It's this Saturday. There's still plenty of tickets left. Like, I don't know that there's going to be another show that's that level in the area. We have some good stuff going on this weekend, but that's going to be a really quality show. If you've never seen DOG and Minx, you don't know what you're missing. Scorched Waves is just starting to blow up in the state. They're really looking to start doing some touring and whatnot, and they're a really good band that's right out of the state, and we love working with them as much as we can. So that's the big one coming up this Saturday. We don't really do anything for Halloween weekend, but then getting into that next week, we just added. So we have 3 shows back to back to back on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of that next week, and Pert Near Sandstone with Billy Bronstead. Really excited about this show. It's the first time we've had Pert Near in the venue. They've been at Poplar the last couple times, and we are excited. We do feel like even though Poplar is bigger, we put a pretty good amount of people in the brewery that we can normally, by adjusting ticket price a little bit, we can get those guys to where they need. But Billy Bronstead also with that show has been all over the place a little bit lately, and he's even talked about it, but he's got a new manager, Morgan. She seems really on top of her game, so I'm excited to get Billy back and get him through, because he's in my mind one of the best original music artists in the state. So, but yeah, then we get into the 7th, which is the second day of that run, and that's Joe Hertler with 6 Foot Blonde. And Joe Hertler's great. I know a lot of you have all seen Joe, but if you haven't seen 6 Foot Blonde, you have to check him out. She sounds a lot. She's got like an Amy Winehouse vibe to her, but they've got that indie pop feel. They're really good friends and similar style to like Post X Nachos. But that band is up and coming. They've really been on the rise lately too. So it's great to see them. That first time we saw them through the area was Cheese Fest about a year and a half ago. So excuse me. And then we have a show that people might not know about as much. Spare Change Trio is a fantastic band out of the Madison area with Cujo the Poet. So I had both of these bands at Kelmus Pub with Feed the Dog, the first time I ever worked with Feed the Dog. And Spare Change Trio is very impressive, very jammy band. Sam from the band plays, I believe it's Sam plays 3 didgeridoos. But they're really, really cool. And then Cujo adds a really awesome dimension as well. So might not be names that you know about, but they are local artists from Wisconsin. So it'd be great to see a bunch of people there to check them out if you haven't seen them already. And if you've seen them, you know how good that show is going to be. So, and then we get into the free show we talked about with the Monday Fun Day show with Razor, but I won't talk about that too much. Then we get into... This is going to be the Code Zero radio show of the month. So if you guys don't know, every month we're going to pick a Code Zero radio show. We'll be putting a promo code on that, and then you're going to get a few bucks off of your ticket if you come to that show, Messer Chups, on November 13th. I'm super excited about this show. We've been getting amazing feedback on it right now from either people that have seen them before or people that have heard them. They are psychedelic surf rock, and they're out of Russia. So it's really, I enjoy bringing different music through from different areas of the world because it's cool. We've had a lot of UK. We brought some from Newfoundland. We brought making movies through after they played at Mile from Panama. And so we enjoy bringing that piece. Another one is the Lemon Bucket Orchestra out of Canada. They're another good one, but they're very have a like Eastern Bloc feel to them. And but Master Chops is out of Russia, out of St. Petersburg, and so very, very stoked about that. So
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, that's gonna be a really good show, and like. Tickets are going really well for that show, and someone literally jumped on one of our posts and said this will be the best band that Appleton sees all year. So I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I'm definitely willing to find out. Then we get into a couple big ones that weekend. Lowdown Brass Band with Kyle Magna and the Monsoons. Like, I don't know if you can get a better fitting show than that. We've been trying to make this show work for a while with Lowdown and Kyle, but both of those bands are pretty big, so you have to be able to pay both of those bands well. So please get here for this show. This is going to be a great show. If you ever wonder about tickets and stuff like that, 90% of every dollar that we get on ticket sales goes back to the artist at a very minimum on every show. So if you're ever wondering that ticket money that you're spending outside of the fees, which we're always got to deal with that, but outside of that, 90% of every of those dollars goes to pay the band. So please come support that. We would love to see a bunch of people here. That would be great to see a sold out show because the energy in that room is gonna be crazy. And then the next night is Modern Joey with May Simpson. So we've had both of those bands through May. This will be our second time. I saw May the first time at Craft Brewing convention up in Minneapolis, and was super impressed. And actually, that was the first time I met her. I'm sure she doesn't remember it, but that was the first time I met her. And that's going to be a great show. And then we get into the end of the month, getting into the holidays. So we've got the 21st, if you were at Mile and you got a chance to see them. I have not, but I love the vibe from what I've listened to so far. But Winya is going to be at Appleton Music Factory with Edge Hill is the band they're bringing with. So I don't know much about Edge Hill outside of listening to him. But Winya, I've heard nothing but fantastic things about. That show is already in low ticket count. So if you're looking to get tickets, I would not wait on that show. We haven't marked that yet, but that'll be something we're marking this week that it just went into low ticket count. Then on the 22nd, always excited to bring Katie Gein in the drive-thru. We've had her through, gosh, this is probably going to be the 5th or 6th time. The band that's coming with her is a trio out of Kentucky called Bedford. And please check them out. It's all, Katie and the girls do great. This band as well that's going to open for them, that's going to be a fantastic show. This will be Bedford's first time into Wisconsin, I believe, and really excited to see them. But I was very, very impressed when I was listening to them and checked out some of their online stuff. But yeah, that looks really good. So we also have the Bridger show, which we are going to do. We haven't announced yet. We think we're going to bring Berms in with them for the night before, which if you haven't heard of Berms, check them out. It's BERMS. And we always do Bridger the night before Thanksgiving. They pull really well because they're from the area and pull a bunch of people coming back to the area for the holiday. And then we just announced today our big two to end the month. We've got Iftikhar. We're doing 2 shows for the holiday weekend for Iftikhar, and really, really excited that the first one on Friday night I have heard nothing but fantastic things about, and I've not seen this act live, but Heatbox is what we're going to have with Iftikhar, and I'm expecting that that's going to go over very, very well. So excited to see Heatbox. And then the second night we'll have Hot Like Mars, which is remnants of the old 41, if you knew that band. That band is really good. Check them out. I think this will be their 3rd time through. I think one of the other times they played was with Iftikhar, and it's a great show. But that's going to be 2 nights of jam to end out the month, and then we're done with November, and we don't have much going on in December, but we'll talk about that on our next edition because I don't want to take away everything I have to say because I don't have many shows next month.
Well, Eric Herm said always love the shows at ABF. Keep them coming, Mark. So that's. Again, I'm excited that the 3rd Tuesday of every month, Mark's going to be here, and we're going to continually make this show better, and it's going to get a nice flow to it. What I hope is that some of the listeners and some of the people that go to Appleton Beer Factory call in and, give Mark some good questions and some stuff that might catch him a little off guard, or, just like a nice community conversation, more or less.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be talking a lot more about the podcast at the brewery, obviously, because of the partnership. So we're excited to see a bunch of our fans, or our Appleton Beer Factory fans and Music Factory fans, jump on and start being Code Zero Radio fans. So, but yeah, if you ever want to get a lowdown and get a little bit of insider information, this should be a pretty good segment as we move forward. So,
where's the best place for people to find out about the shows coming to the Beer Factory?
We have this beautiful new website that we just started. Please utilize it. It is awesome. If you're a band and you want to book a show, that's where you go to book a show. If you're a customer looking for a private event, that's where you go. It's also, we have our entire schedule of music on there. That is only our ticketed shows. So that's the only thing about that at this point. That might be changing, but it's a really nice setup, very easy to use, and then you can always check us out on Facebook. We've got all the events are always updated. I don't let stuff linger too long there. So
Mark, thank you so much. Appreciate this. Any last words before we see you next month?
Yeah, I thank you for letting me come on, Andy. And like I said, I'm excited about this. But the biggest thing is, get out there. And I know a lot of the listeners already from the people that have asked questions. But get out there and, everyone complains about all the high prices of all these big shows. You can go see shows in the area for, $10 up to like $25-$30, and that's about the most you're going to spend on a show. And if you're spending $30 on a show, you're going to see a pretty good show. So please, but not only our venue, please support all the live music venues, because that's, again, we only continue to grow if we continue to grow together.